Hello Stampin' friends, this is Jeannie Moss. I'd like to welcome you into my crafting studio here in the bluegrass state of Kentucky. Today's card is going to be a Miura fold card. So this slides off and this opens up into this fun fold. So this will actually, I've added a panel to this so it will actually stand up. I know you can't really see that, but this is how it works. So this is what we're going to make today. So let's get started. I'm using the framed Florets bundle. This bundle is currently available. It has the framed Florets stamp set and it has these dies, the framed Florets dies. But back in November, it was offered as a collection. It came with this extra stamp set, Framed and Festive, which was a nice holiday set. And it also came with DSP paper. It came with a whole set of paper, which I'm going to flip through very, very quickly because, like I said, this is no longer available. But it was a really pretty set of papers. And that's what we'll be using today. We're going to be using this particular paper. It also came with embellishments. These were gold swirl embellishments. So that's what we'll be using today. And we're going to need some supplies. This is soft succulent, and this piece is 5.5 by 10.5. We also have two DSP Designer Series papers panels. These are 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. We have a 1 3/4 by 3. And then this is going to be for our inside of our card. It's 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. And then we have some other things, and I've already cut and stamped and stuff so that you don't have to watch me do that. We had a piece of Evening Evergreen that we cut this frame from. We used this frame and cut that. And then the centerpiece I actually used with these little leaf dies, and I cut out 3 of the little leaves, so I have those. I also took a white scrap and I used the larger die, this die, and I'm just using the inside piece of that to get my oval. And then I took some of the gold distressed paper and I cut out these pieces. So those are also with the dies, the same little leaf die we used before, and then this leaf die. So those are the pieces that I have. I also have a piece of ribbon, a strip of red. This is, I think, 1 by 8.5, and another piece of 3.5 by 5.5 soft succulent. That's going to be the piece that's going to help it stand up. So we're going to get started. I'm going to put this out of the way. And with this piece, we are going to start by scoring it at 3.5 and 7. So basically, we are scoring this piece into thirds. So we will fold the front back and then this one to the inside. So we've got a Z. So the front of our card, we want to score that nice and score this one nicely. And then now comes all the measuring and cutting, and this is going to take a little bit. I try to keep my videos to 15 minutes or less, so we'll do this as best we can, but I don't know if I'm going to make 15 minutes. We are going to measure from the top down 2 inches, and we're going to put a mark on that score line. Then we're going to measure from the bottom up 2 inches, and we're going to put a mark on that score line. Our next step is to take our ruler and something to score with. So I have my stylus, and I'm going to score from that pencil mark down to the corner. So I want to score this. And then I'm going to score from that pencil mark up to the other score line. So now we have that from our pencil mark, we have a V. We're going to do the same thing on this one. We're going to score from the pencil mark up to the corner and then up to this other score line. And then we'll take an eraser and we'll erase those pencil marks. And this is the basic fold of our card. So now to fold the card, we have it so that the front has a fold, and the front ones are going to fold back. So we're going to take these and we're going to fold them towards the back, and then we'll close this. You want to make sure that you get it nice and straight, and then you'll take your bone folder and you'll crease it well. Now on the other one, they're going to fold forward. So you can either fold them towards the middle, towards the inside, or you can flip it over. But you're going to do the same thing. You're going to get those nice and lined up very nicely before you score it. Or before you burnish it, I should say. Give it a good crease. So now you can see that one is going, there we go, back, and one is coming to the inside. So this is how our card goes together. So now we have, this one's going back, this one's coming forward. So this is the front of our card. On the back of our card, we're going to put that piece, extra piece of soft succulent DSP, this guy. We're going to put it on the back of our card. That's going to be our little stand that will help it to stand up. So you just want to add glue or whatever adhesive you want to use to this panel. Do not glue below that into that little triangle. You just want to keep it above this. Line it up well, press it down, and now your card will actually stand up. So we're ready to work with these panels. And what we need to do, we need to make these panels fit into these areas. So we're going to measure on this one, we're going to measure up, and I'm actually going to flip it over, but I need to remember which side that I'm, let's see, I think I want it to go this way. Be sure to look at your patterns. So I want to come up to here, and I want to measure that at 1 7/8. So I'm coming 1 7/8 from the end. So that'll be right here. And I'm going to cut that from that mark to the corner so you can see what that's going to look like. So I'm going from the mark over to the corner. All right, so that's that piece. So now we're going to cut the other panel. So we want to be sure that we're coming down on in the right place. So on this one, we want to cut this way. So 1 7/8. And we're going to cut up to this corner. All right, Now we're going to do one more thing. Because this piece was the kind of the same size as our card, we need to trim this piece a little bit. It's going to be a little bit big. So what I'm doing on the edge that would be flat here, I'm going to cut off just about 1/8 of an inch. You probably can't see that either. So I'm going to lay that in, and I'm going to cut 1/8 of an inch off of the end of that. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. This one, it'll be the flat side. Cut 1/8 of an inch off. And then our other piece that we had, that little 1 3/4 by 3, we're going to cut that diagonally from corner to corner. And those are our pieces. Let me get this out of the way. And we're ready to start adhering these inside. And I'm gonna make sure I got what I'm doing here. Let's see, that'll be probably that one. I'm gonna try to match these back up. I think that goes there. Yeah, and this goes over here. Okay, so I'm gonna put these 4 pieces on first. And they'll have a little bit of a border around them because we've got it cut so that it'll do that. So we'll put that one in, and this little matching piece, we'll add it. Then we're going to switch over to this side and do this one. And the only other piece we need now for this is our white piece for the center. And I found it to be a little tricky. So what you have is a piece that is, let's see here, I had that written down, 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. So it's the same size as our panels here that we started with. And we're going to take this and we're going to measure it. We're going to measure it at 1 15/16 here and 1 15/16 here. So I know that's an odd little measurement, but it seemed to be the closest to get it to fit nicely. So that's just one tiny mark. If your ruler has 16ths, it's one tiny mark before the 2. And then we need to cut this, and we want to be cutting in the same direction. So we're going to be cutting from here to here, and then we're going to be cutting this way. So we'll be cutting like this. So there's one. And there's one. And now we have this odd-shaped piece that should, if we've done it correctly, fit right into our card. Well, that's great. Okay, so we can erase any pencil marks that are on there. And I like to go ahead, I normally stamp before I adhere, but on this piece, I actually like to go ahead and adhere it so that I can get my stamping straight. And it's harder for me with that, the way this is all what I call whopper jawed. It's hard for me to get it, my stamping straight if I don't put it in there first. So we're going to stamp, I'm stamping this with the one from that holiday set that came with this collection, From Our Home to Yours. And I'm doing that in the Evening Evergreen. I'm going to grab a piece of scrap just to make sure my stamp is inking up well. I like to prime my stamps. All right, and then I'm going to put this right inside, give it a press, and there's my stamp. I did have those 3 little leaves, and one of them I'm going to put inside the card. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on this leaf in some different places, and I'm going to stick that right here in the bottom of the card. So there's our card. So now it's just a matter of embellishing the front. So what I did, I took this strip of Real Red. I started in the center of my card, and I start bending this around the card. Now you don't want to be really super tight because it does need to slide. So it needs to slide up and down over your card. And then, since I started in the center because I want my seam in the center. So I'm going to reverse these pieces. I'm going to put some adhesive, some glue right here. And I'm going to glue those together. And that creates our belly band. And like I said, you don't want it super tight because you do want it to slide up and down your card. Then the rest is just embellishment. So I have taken one of the ovals that I cut. I used this larger die, this one, and used the oval from the center of this. And I've just stamped it, also in the Evening Evergreen. And then I've cut out one of the, I showed you earlier. This is Evening Evergreen. And what I'm going to do with this, I'm just going to take a little bit of adhesive around the edges of this. Now, I cannot take credit for this embellishment, this piece, because I saw it on another card, on somebody else's card. I don't know who the demonstrator was, but I won't take credit for this because I did pull this. It was so pretty. And I want this to be straight, so you need to kind of look at what you're doing in the front side too. All right, and those two are glued together now. And then we'll be gluing this onto the front of our belly band. Put that right on there. We've got our little leaves. Just going to put one down here. One here. And then I have a little gold leaf that I'm going to put on top of those two. And I'm going to trim that tail just a little bit on that one. I have this other gold one. I'm only going to put adhesive on this side of it because I don't want it to stick where it's hanging off. I don't want it to stick to the paper and not allow my card to close. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of that and move it out of the way of my greeting. I'm just going to push that up a little bit and stick it down. All right, so there is our front. The only other thing I added was a bow. I used a piece of the soft succulent. Couldn't think of the name of it. Soft succulent ribbon. And I made a bow. I used my little handy dandy bow maker that my dad made for me before he passed. And then I will trim the ends of my ribbon. I'm going to use a couple of glue dots, and I like to use these leftovers from my paper pumpkin kits. I'm going to put a couple of those here. I like to use 2 or 3 because I like for these bows to stay secure, and they don't always want to do that. So I'm going to put another one on there. So there's 3 glue dots. And now that will get glued right onto there. I have those embellishments that came with this collection of products. And I thought I would just add a few of those. So there's one. Oops, don't really want that there, do I? There's one. There's one. And I'll put this one up in the upper left. So there's our card. Again, this is called a Miura fold. So this will slide off and this will open up. So I hope you enjoyed this card. If you have any questions, you can reach me at bluegrassstamper@gmail.com. I also have a web page if you're looking for other projects. My web page is www.bluegrassstamper.com. If you need any supplies, I'd love for you to shop with me. It lets me do what I like to do, which is make these quick videos for you. Thanks for joining me. Bye.